Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about a kind of marketing that gets 4 times better results than social media marketing. Now, almost everybody's ignoring this. Very few practitioners are using it because they think it's a bit old school and it was yesterday's news and they don't want to do it. I'll talk about more of that at the moment. At the time I'm recording this right now, it's early November, and we're just about through most of our what we call our spring racing carnival. So it's a huge racing event here, and horses come from all over the world to race here. I know virtually nothing about horse racing at all, okay? So, which surprises me. I love all sports, but I just don't get into the horse racing thing. I'm not quite sure why it is. It might be the cruelty side of things. In fact, that's exactly why it is there too. But anyway, I don't want to get into the whole political side of horse racing. What I do want to talk to you about is it reminds me of a metaphor that my old coach, James Schramko, used to talk about all the time. Because you cannot, here at the moment in Australia, particularly in Melbourne, you can't hide from the whole spring racing carnival with Melbourne Cup and Oaks Days, all these big races. And on the news everywhere, different betting experts all talking about what horses are going to win and what are going to lose and where you should be betting, all those kind of things there too. And James, my old coach, used to say, if you want to win from the racing game, there's only one place that you can win all the time. He said the punters, those people betting, they sometimes win and they sometimes lose. He said the jockeys sometimes win, sometimes lose. If you own a race horse, you sometimes win, you sometimes lose. Now, maybe you want to own a betting agency. And he goes on and says they sometimes win, they sometimes lose. He says the only group that wins all the time out of the racing industry are those people that own the actual race course. Now, when James was talking about this metaphor and story, really what he was talking about is the relationship that we should be having with our customers, our clients, that we need to own the relationship. And he would often go about really telling people to be wary about having their whole businesses built through relationships just on social media. Because the challenge is this, the social media platforms are forever changing the rules. There's some really great things about them. They do allow us to be able to communicate with people in our community in a way that just wasn't available even a decade ago. For less than the price of, a coffee a day, I can be putting my videos, my posts, my content, and ad in front of the exact kind of person, my ideal patient that I would love to attract into my practice. That was never possible beforehand, but now it's not only is it possible, it's really easy. I train people to do it all the time. A quick search on YouTube and you'll learn how to do these things. Very little tech skill is needed. But this game is constantly changing, and along with that, our ability to be able to get in and our relationships with the patients or our community there too has been taken away from us in the early days. And I've spoken about lots of this over the last 12, 18 months there too. Engagement rates used to be really high. At the moment, if I put a post up, if I'm lucky, I might reach 4% of the people on my list there too. Most of the people, if you're not boosting your content, if you're just expecting it to get out there organically, I don't want to say that you're wasting your time, but you're probably wasting your time, okay? So all that effort you've put into building an audience, none of them get to see it as well. And even if you're paying to have it go in front of people there too, the game is changing with regards to that also. For 2 major reasons, okay? It used to be, it's an auction. When you pay for your ads there too, it's like going along to a house and bidding on it. And if you're the only person that's bidding on that house, then chances are that you're going to get it cheaper than if there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of you that all want that same house. Social media advertising used to be something that not very many people did, but now lots and lots of people are doing that too. So as competition goes up, the price for advertising goes up as well. Now, if you do it properly, it's still a wonderful return for us as natural health practitioners. I'm regularly seeing wonderful returns on investments when you play the long game with regards to it too. But it is getting more and more expensive as well. Now, the second reason why it's starting to become more and more of a challenge, and why I want you to be really wary if you're basing all of your reach out into your community onto social media, is that there are changes coming on now in regards to kind of freedom of speech, in around to even some censoring with regards to what we can say. This will affect us more as health practitioners than it will affect almost any other industry. And COVID has really brought that about. If you've tried to post a video anytime recently that might have the word immune system in it, then these get flagged really quickly. The social media platforms have these bots that can track these words, even if you've not written them, but you're actually saying them inside of your video there too. They're being flagged. And Facebook is really throttling that information and not allowing it to be kind of seen as widely. Now, it's not just that, because I'm seeing many of the people that I coach just doing the simplest of videos, maybe on, how to choose a bed, sleeping postures, the most basic of things that used to be really easy to get through the kind of Facebook hula hoop, so to speak, there too. Now these are being pulled up, please explain, all those kind of things there too. Now, I understand why some of this has come about, because one of the things that the social media platforms has allowed is it's allowed anyone to be an expert. You can jump on there and all of a sudden that you're an expert on weight loss, on strength training, on back pain, headaches, you kind of name it from there too. And so all these people are out there saying these really unsubstantiated things. Now, us as registered health practitioners, we have to really bear the brunt of that as well. And so I think it's going to get more and more difficult for us to be sharing health messages, regardless of how evidence-based they are. It's going to be more and more difficult for us to be sharing these on the social media platforms. In previous episodes, I introduced you guys to this concept of a single point of failure. It's a computer engineering term that really talks about the vulnerability of a system. If a system has one single point of failure, if that fails, the whole system crashes. What that looks like for many of us in our practice is we often have one avenue for new patients to come into us. And maybe that's internal referrals for you. For some of you, you might do a little bit of external marketing, but maybe the only thing that you're doing is some Facebook ads or some Instagram ads. When you have one or just two main avenues of new business coming into your practice, you're really vulnerable when things change. About a decade ago, a bunch of buddies, friends of mine here, built really big, thriving practices. And one of the main ways they went about doing it was doing screenings. They'd stand in a local shopping mall, go to the local supermarket, all those kind of things. And they could spend a weekend and come back with, anywhere from 60 to 100 new patients, often, sometimes even more than that as well. And then things started to trail off. And then our registration board here all of a sudden went, nope, not allowed to do that anymore. Or they made it really, really difficult. Now, these practices had to really scramble because they didn't have the back-end systems built for retention, for internal referrals. They had this really big practice that needed all these new patients coming into it, and all of a sudden they were really, really vulnerable. So what do we do about that? How do we own the race course? It means this, that the first thing, when the computer engineers identified this concept of a single point of failure, they started to talk about redundancy. Said we've got to have, if that bit fails, then the system still works. If your new patients are taken away because of Facebook makes it really difficult for us to run ads, or you used to do screenings and you're not allowed to do those anymore, what other avenues do you have? And I'm going to suggest that some of the avenues that you have to focus on are ones where you own the race course. So some examples of these might be like your website. Have you optimized your website? You're in control of that. Do you know how many people are coming to it and how are they getting there, and what do you do with them once they get there as well? Do you have an internal referral program? Are you rewarding your internal referrals, and do you have a system to encourage those people that like to refer you to refer even more? Do you have a number of joint ventures that you've set up? Now, even know that's you've got a relationship with somebody else there too. We're a little bit more in control of what's happening. Are you running events, or did you used to run events? We used to always run events with our practice, at least quarterly. We'd celebrate things like the practice's birthday, chiropractic's birthday, Valentine's Days. They were a great opportunity for us to throw a party and to really engage with our existing patients. They were fun. We always got a bunch of new patients that came out of them as well. In the future, I'll do a whole series on internal events, but in this current COVID space, internal events are really difficult for us to run. Now, one of the types of marketing that I see so many practitioners completely ignoring, and it's really, really simple, it's probably one of the simplest kinds of marketing, is email marketing. And email marketing, when you have an email database there too, you own that. Nobody can take that off you. And even if you decide to go from MailChimp to Aweber to ActiveCampaign, you can take your email database with you. If I'm on Facebook and I've got thousands of visitors and all of a sudden Facebook wants to ban me, they can do that, okay? They own that race course. I'm a guest there as well. Now, one of the things that's great about email marketing, I kind of lead with at the very beginning of this episode, the return on investment from email marketing is 4 times that of social media marketing. Now, you might have heard, or maybe you're telling yourself that, email marketing doesn't work anymore. And you're right, it doesn't work as well as what it used to be. A decade ago, email open rates were 50, maybe 60%. And now at the worst, if you're doing even just an okay job, they're 15%, but we can probably get you up to 25%. And in coming episodes, I'll show you exactly how to do that too. When you're sending emails regularly to people, I mean, think about it in terms of this concept that email is dead, just to go back to that. Have you looked at your email today? Most of you have looked at your email multiple times. We're still checking it each and every day. It's a little bit busier in there. That just means that we need to do a better job with the kind of emails that we're writing and the content that we're sharing as well. So email is absolutely one of those things that you should be building. I noticed this. Many of the practitioners during this COVID time when they were really shut down, if you had an ability to be able to communicate with your patients via email directly to them, it really made a difference because you could continue to add value to them. You could stay front of mind. You're less likely to become irrelevant and ignored as well. So, in summary, here's what I want you thinking about with regards to your marketing as well. A quick little audit, okay? Where are most of your new patients coming from? Is it just one source? Do you have multiple sources? Are you in control of it? Where would be the next place for you to start? And if you're looking at starting to add in some more marketing channels, what channels could you start to initiate where you owned the race course, where you're more in control of it, as opposed to reaching out to social media platforms as well, okay? Start to add in a little bit of that marketing redundancy. Then, as I mentioned, future episodes, we're going to talk at length about email marketing. How often we should be emailing people, how long our emails should be, what is the technology that we need to be sending our emails. We'll talk about the best things that we can do to get our emails actually opened, and how we can get strangers on our email list, not just our existing patients as well. I'm going to go through all of that in future episodes. Gang, that's it for me today. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon and I'm going to go spend some time with my family now. But as always, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. See you back here real soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.